Hello all, welcome back to my videos. Today I will try to create AWS services using Python dictionaries. The attribute that I will be using, I have taken it from AWS documentation page for boto3, and all this information is available in this documentation. So let's say for example, I want to create a VPC. I can just click on create VPC, and what I will do is that I will copy this configuration over here and I will take it onto my editor and then paste it. So this is the documentation that is there, right? So what I will do is I will put like my underscore VPC. So I will create a dictionary for it. So my VPC is equal to, and then let me open this and close it over here. So this is how I am using, I will be creating that dictionary for to be used in the AWS services. So what I will do is that I have to manually change all this information. So like, let's say I want to use this cider block. I don't need this. I will remove it from here. IPv full 6 I don't need. So all this information I will remove from here. So let's go. Okay, sorry. Instance, instance. Okay, this is also something that I don't need. This is also something that I don't need. I will remove. Okay, this is the tag specifications that I need. Okay. So what I will do is that I will create it as a dictionary. So as we know, dictionary in Python dictionary, it looks something like this. So this is one dictionary that I have created. Now let me create this one also, change it. Over here, what I will do is that Control Shift and delete it and change it as VPC. Right. So this is, okay, let me name it as VPC. So this is the dictionary that I have created, right, to be used. Okay, let me change the CIDR block over here. That is 192.168.10.0/24. This is the cider block that I will be using. Let me change the key name as name, and the value will be my VPC. Okay, so this way I will create a dictionary for a VPC, for subnets, for security group, and then for the client resource, instance resource, and then we will try to use this dictionary while creating the services. So I will pause the video. Let me create all those dictionaries, and then we will meet again. Thank you. So welcome back. So I have created this dictionary. So my first dictionary that I have created is my VPC. So the CIDR block that I'm going to use is 192.168.10.0/24. The resource type that I'm going to use is VPC, and then this tag name that I have given. The next dictionary that I have created is the subnet dictionary. Here I am using the resource type subnet, the key name, and all. And over here, if you see, I have just mentioned it as a string because this is we will update dynamically when we are running this script. And cider block is something that the subnet cider block that I have mentioned, that is /28 that I'm using. Now I'm trying to create a security group. So this is a dictionary for the security group that I have created. So I've mentioned that a dictionary, the group name, the VPC ID. This is something that we will update dynamically. And then I have mentioned the security group, the security group name, and then I'm creating a EC2 instance over here, right? So and the AMI ID have already put over here. The resource type, the instance type that I am using is a T2 micro, max count, and this security group, because we will be associating this particular instance to a particular security group. So I have mentioned it over here, and then I have done the same over here with for subnet ID. So these are the two parameters that we will be updating dynamically. Okay, and over here I've just mentioned the tag specification, like what is the instance name that I want to use. Okay, so what I will do is that I will create an virtual the instance name as default, and then what I will do is that I will create a name using the date and time format. So it's like default and then the date and time after that, so that every time we run the script we get unique instances. So what I will do is I will use something called as, okay, before that what I have to do is that I have to import date and time. So I will do import date time, and then let me create x equals date time dot date time dot now. Okay, so now I will format this particular string so that I can get the data over here. So let me do x dot strf time, right? So it just give me an, okay, now inside that what I will do is I will use the date, that is percentile d, percentile m, date, month, and then the for year, that is 2021, all the four digits, then percentile, and then hour, then minutes, then seconds. So this is the format that I will be using. So it will show as default, and then the day, month, year, hours, minutes, seconds. We will be using it as a name for the EC2 instance. Okay. So next thing what I have to do is that, as I will be using boto3, so I have to import boto3, right? The next thing what I have to do is that I have to create a resource for it. So I will create a client resource, that is my underscore client equals boto3 dot client, and then that is EC2. Okay, so this looks pretty much good enough. Okay, okay, okay. So you see over here I am creating this particular subnet in availability zone US East 1A, which is okay, and this is header block that I'm using. So this looks good. Okay, so now the first thing what I will do is that I will create my VPC, and I will store my VPC ID in as a variable so that I can use it later on over here, right? These values that I will be updating dynamically, which I mentioned. So I will be using that value. So I will store that VPC ID in a variable so that I can update this particular dictionary over here. So to do that, what I'm going to do is that I will create a variable. My VPC ID is equal to my underscore client dot create underscore VPC. So I'm creating this VPC over here, and then I will pass on the variable. I will pass on the dictionary over here, my underscore VPC, and then I'm just going to extract the VPC ID, VPC, and then the VPC ID over here. So I'm extracting the VPC ID from while I'm creating this resource over here, the VPC resource over here, and then I'm assigning it to this variable over here, or to my VPC underscore my VPC ID. So this will create my VPC with this cider block range, and it will give it a name called as my VPC. The next thing what I'm going to do is that now I have got this VPC ID. So I will use this dictionary of subnets. I will be creating a subnet, and this is my subnet dictionary that I have created, and this is the availability zone and the VPC ID that I am putting over here. So for to do that, what I have to do is that I have to update the VPC ID in my subnet dictionary. So to do that, what I'm going to do is my underscore subnet, sorry, my underscore subnet, because I'm trying to update this. So this is a key. So to access this key, what I have to do is I'm trying to access the key VPC ID, and I am updating it with the value of this VPC ID over here. So I'm updating this parameter with the VPC ID that I have taken from my previous command, right? So what I will do is that I will do my subnet VPC ID is equal to my underscore VPC ID, right? So this will assign the value on this variable to this particular VPC ID. So next thing after that, what I will do is that I will take this subnet ID from while creating the subnet. I will take that subnet ID and store it to a variable so that I can use that subnet ID over here while I can use it later here while creating the instance. So to do that, what I will do is I will create the variable my subnet ID is equal to my underscore client dot create underscore subnet. Let me create underscore subnet and then pass that dictionary over here. This is my underscore subnet. That is my underscore subnet, and then I will extract. Excuse me. I will extract the subnet ID. So that will be oops, subnet, and then I have the subnet ID over here. So I'm extracting the subnet ID and I'm assigning it to a variable my subnet ID over here. Next thing what we are going to do is that I will modify this subnet ID, because as you know that while you create a subnet, by default it does not allow you to assign a public IP address to an instance you are attaching this particular subnet to. So to change that behavior, what I will do is that I will put my client dot modify sorry, modify underscore subnet underscore attribute map public IP on launch is equal to value that I will put that is value, and that is I will set it to true, and I will set it this parameter true on which subnet, on this subnet ID that I have created. So that is sorry, subnet ID equals my underscore sub ID. Okay. So what I'm doing is that I'm just telling that okay, on this subnet, whenever I'm assigning a particular virtual machine or an EC2 instance, then we should be able to assign the public IP as well to it, or else by default this is disabled, right? So I'm done with it. Okay. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is that I will modify my security group. I'll create a security group, and you see, while creating a security group, I need to mention the VPC ID. So what I will do is that I will modify this particular parameter for my security group dictionary. So what I'm going to do here is my underscore sg, and then the key that I'm trying to change is VPC ID, and that I will assign it the value, the VPC ID that I have extracted over here. So let me copy this and then paste it over here. So this is the VPC ID that I am assigning over here. Okay. Now what I will do is I will create the security groups, and then using my client dot create underscore security underscore group. So I am creating my security group over here, and then I will assign this security group ID to this particular variable over here that is called as my security group. So that is this resource I'm creating. So let me pass that dictionary over here, this particular dictionary name. So let me pass it onto that particular service that I'm creating. So I'm passing it over here, and then I'm extracting just the group ID. Group ID. So this group ID I am extracting because this group ID I need to mention it. I need to put it onto my security group IDs field that I have created, right, for my while creating the EC2 instance. So I have stored. So this will create my security group and pass the group ID to this particular variable over here. Next, what I'm going to do is I will create the EC2 instance. So for that, I need to update these two parameters over here. The first one is this one, the security group IDs, and the other one is the subnet ID. So how do I do that? So let me take this dictionary name, and then I need to update the parameter that is, let's say this one I will update first. So I will copy this from here, put it over here, and then assign it a variable, the my security groups. So this is the variable that I will assign it to it. Okay. Next thing is that I have to update the subnet ID as well. So I will take this key over here and then put it here, and then I will update its value with this my subnet ID over here that we have extracted. Okay. Okay, I think I did a mistake over here. This is, let's see, this is a dictionary. Sorry, it's a list. So what I have to do is that I have to do dot append and this one. Okay. So what I'm doing is that I am updating this particular list over here. Right. So to update the list in dictionary, I need to put append. So I have I'm doing an append over here. So I'm updating this particular field. Looks okay. So looks good. Yeah, it looks good. Okay. So next thing, what I will do is that I will launch the instance, my underscore client dot run underscore instances, and then I will pass this particular dictionary over here. So do a control C, control V. Okay. So I'll pass this dictionary and it should create my client resource. So now what I will do is that I will wait for my program to get completed. So I will create a waiter for it. My waiter is equal to my underscore client dot get underscore waiter, and the waiter that I am going to use is instance 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 underscore status underscore. Okay. So once this instance reaches into this state, I will wait for it. Then I will wait. So my underscore waiter dot wait. So this looks pretty much good. Hopefully this will run. Let me go ahead and try to run it and see what happens. Okay, looks good. Yeah, looks good. Okay, let me go ahead and execute it. Run this. Okay, so it fails default. Okay, why did it fail? Okay, percentile D, percentile M, percentile S. Okay, so I think what I have mentioned over here is that this particular seconds has to be in uppercase. Okay, so this looks okay. So what it will do is that, because I have not mentioned any control statement over there, so it will create all the resources. So let me do one thing. Let me go ahead and log into my AWS console and clean it up. So let me log into my AWS console. So I have just logged into my console, and let me clean up, because it will have created the VPC and all this data. So let me clean up the VPC, and then we will try to run the script once again. So let me clean this, clean it up. Okay, delete VPC. I will VPC constant contains one or more instance. Did it initiate an EC2 instance? Let's see EC2. Let's go to EC2 instance and see. Okay, let me terminate this instance. Terminate. Let's see volumes, if we have any volumes over here. Okay, it's still terminating. Let's wait for this host to terminate. So now it's terminated. Let me do the cleanup. Let me clean everything. Let me go to VPC. Let me remove these VPCs over here. My test VPC. Okay, delete the VPC. Delete. Okay, so I've deleted the VPC. So now I'm left behind with only the default VPC, no subnets, No security groups. Okay, so that is fine. So let's go back and run the script again. Let's see what happens. Okay, so this time it's doing something. Let's see whether it is creating the EC2 resource. Okay, yeah. So it's trying to create that EC2 instance resource. Okay, so now it is running. Let's go back and see. Okay, still doing something. Need to wait till the instance status is okay. Let me change the view. Let me go to the default view. Cancel this. Yeah, so now the status is still initializing. So until it becomes okay, this script will not terminate. So in the meanwhile, what we can see is, let's see if it has created the VPC again. So yeah, it has created the VPC, that is my VPC. This is the name that we are using. Subnet is my test subnet. This is the one that we have used over here. Let me put on the side. So this is the my subnet that it has created. And let's see the security groups that it has created. Okay, this is the security group that it has created. This is the name that I have given. Okay, and now it's trying to launch an EC2 instance. Let's go over here and see the instance. So if I highlight this particular instance, right? Okay. So if you see over here, a public IP address has been assigned and a private IP address has been assigned over here. The VPC ID is my VPC, right? And let's see, and the security group, yeah, the security group that, sorry, the subnet that we have created is my test subnet over here. So this is also correct. Now let's see the security group. Where do we find the security group? Yeah, so this is the security group that it has been attached to, right? So this matches the exact definitions that we have mentioned in this particular script, right? So I hope this video helps you understand how to use dictionaries to create services in AWS boto3. In next video, we'll try something new. So till then, take care and have a great day. Bye bye.